Hey, what is going on, you guys? It is Mr. No Sleep here from Old School RuneScape, and welcome to a brand new video for you all today. So as you guys saw there in the intro, I am now officially sponsored by Ironside PC, and as you guys remember in my last video, I did mention that I've been having a lot of problems with my PC in the past couple months, and honestly, I just think it's about time to replace it. So that's why I went with Ironside to sponsor me, because they did agree to send me a brand new PC, and I've been waiting about a week and a half for it, and I should receive it probably tomorrow night or the night after that. And when I do receive it, I will be making my first ever IRL video, pretty much showing you guys the specs on it and all of the new upgrades compared to this PC, and definitely showing you guys how it works as well. So you will be seeing that intro at the start of most of my videos, if not all of them. And occasionally Ironside does giveaways as well, and there's actually one live on their channel right now, as you can see on the top right of your screen there. If you click that annotation, or if you just follow the description below, you can sign up for free and pretty much be eligible to win what they have to offer, which is actually a brand new PC, and the processor on it is an Intel Core i7 8700K. The graphics card is a 1070 GTX, and the memory is 16 GB. So it's really good. If you want to check that out, feel free. And I just want to say one more thing before we get into today's video, and that is, I know a lot of people are against sponsors, especially on RuneScape channels, but just keep in mind this is not a private server and this is not a gold site. This is just something that's going to really help me put out more videos for you guys, and definitely put out more live streams on Twitch and stay consistent. So with all that being said, let's get into today's video. As you can see, we are at the Duel Arena, and we started the vid with 250 mil, and most of you guys know that I'm not an active staker. I've done a lot of staking in my time, but I've never really peaked at anything big. I think the biggest amount that I've ever reached was about 1.1 bill, and that was, believe it or not, close to 2 years ago, right as I got 126 combat. So just looking at the stake on screen, you can probably assume that we did surpass that initial peak of 1.1 bill. Bear in mind that 1.1 bill was back when Twisted Bows weren't in the game, so I was definitely a lot more motivated this time around to reach higher amounts than I ever have before, and definitely keep going despite the risk being insanely high. And speaking of high risks, this was a big stake, 800 mil. Was actually starting in my favor, and then the tables quickly turned, and just the end result was just what astounded me. They actually had an update recently during the course of a lot of staking that I was doing, where poison was getting the last hit before your whip did. So something like the end result of this stake, where I'm sitting at, 22 HP and he should have killed me there, and then poison gets the victory before his hit gets in. Things like that really just that occurred during the week were just crazy. And after winning a big stake like that, and of course just staking daily and doing multiple sessions a day, we always have to do the next best thing right after staking, and that is of course celebrating. So I did do multiple giveaways throughout the week. I think overall we gave away about 500 mil just in small items like whips and Zerker rings, things like that. And while I wasn't doing big giveaways or big stakes, of course I had to try out my new fancy weapon, which was a Twisted Bow, and so I brought it to KBD, and I did finish off 2000 KC there, and I did enjoy it. I mean, Twisted Bow's worth quite a bit of money, and I would definitely say it is well worth every single mil of the 1 bill price tag that it has. I think it even peaked at around 1.2 bill when I had it. So the only thing that I didn't do with it was go to Inferno or bring it into the wilderness. And if you follow me on my live streams, then you'll know that recently I've lost my 5th Elder Maul at Revenants by getting skull tricked. So yeah, luckily we didn't bring it there. But as you can see here, we are at Revs, and I do tend to stay here pretty much whenever I'm not PVMing. I'm always at Revs anti-PKing, such as this clip here. Luckily for me, these two guys were completely out of food because they had just got done clearing, I think, multiple worlds at Revs, so they had a whole inventory and a whole looting bag of loot, and I did end up getting away clean. So it was a really good clip, and the PK actually ended up being just over 1 mil. So yeah, you can always make a lot of money if you're not killing Revs just by killing the people who are, PKing there or PKing around that area. And speaking of PKers, I just want to give a big shout out to the guy in the green hat with the tribal shield on. I'm not too sure of his username, but I know it was definitely Finnish. This guy and me ended up having one of the longest fights that I've ever had in the wilderness, to the point where he actually ran completely out of runes and bolts. It was right after I got this kill, and I ended up looting all of this guy's supplies. So a big shout out to that guy. We had one of the best fights ever, and he actually ended up PJing a PJer off of me at the end of it, and he let me log out and get away. So yeah, big shout out to that guy. And here we are back at the Duel Arena again. This is pretty much at the point of having, I think, 2 bill in the bank. If you know anything about the 126 area, then you definitely know this guy. His name is Dice Game. I don't know anything about him as it goes for who he is behind the screen, but I do know that all he ever does is DDS 100 mil. Doesn't really matter if it's 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., you will always see this guy DDSing 100 mil. I don't think he does any other amount, really. I think we did 2 200 mil stakes throughout the course of, I think, maybe a dozen stakes. and I think I won both of those. But yeah, he usually sticks with 100 mil, and DDSing is not my favorite thing in the world, but when my whip isn't hitting anything, I usually just go for it, and I hope for the best. But yeah, you definitely meet all sorts of stakers at the duel arena. Actually, throughout the course of this week, while I was doing all sorts of crazy staking myself, I ran into a guy who staked me 500 mil for 50, and I ended up winning, and I became friends with this guy, and it happened to be the same guy that took 50 bill from SparkMac in the duel arena because he got a very nice win streak on him. And long story short, he ended up giving me just about 7 bill GP. Yes, I said it, 7 bill, a twisted bow, an Elysian. I mean, the biggest items that you could possibly imagine. And no, I did not keep these items. I actually gave them all away, a part of his request, pretty much to my streams on a daily basis throughout this week. So big shout out goes to that guy, and he goes by the name Observatory. I believe his personal peak at staking was 200 bill, which was quite a lot more zeros than mine was. But yeah, big shout out to him. He changed a lot of guys' lives. I mean, I gave away a twisted bow to some stranger. I gave away multiple Elysians. I mean, it was just a week that really just was unreal. So yeah, big shout out to him. And speaking of Elysians, let's go ahead and get into the Elysian and twisted bow stakes of the video. And this is also where I show you guys and pretty much explain to you guys what I reached to as it goes for my peak, what was the biggest amount of money that I made. So at this current point in time, I had every single item in the game pretty much in the bank as it goes for useful and expensive, like every single magic related item, range and melee related item I had. I also had multiple 20 mil skills banked, like crafting and prayer and things like that. So what I was staking was basically just twisted bows or Elysians, because like I said, I had everything else, so I was just wanting multiple of what I had at this point. So as you can see, we were winning Elysians and we were losing them back and then winning them back, and we really couldn't go on a win streak at massive amounts like I was staking, but we did have really lucky wins such as that. So I was sitting at a nice amount of a twisted bow, an Elysian, and a spare 500 mil, so I was continuously staking Elysians until I was either going to hit 5 bill or 10 bill. I really didn't know what I wanted to go for, but unfortunately this guy just kept beating me and I kept beating him, and I think in the end of the day I ended up walking down 500 mil. That is until I grew the balls and decided to go for, instead of an Elysian, a twisted bow stake. So he always wanted to do this T-bow against me, and I just finally decided why not. You know, we already got this far, we might as well keep on going. And so, you know, it did take me a long time to accept, but we went in for it, and I think this was one of my first ever twisted bow stakes. Truly an incredible moment and a very, very risky one. You know, I don't know, the way that it started, I wasn't too confident about it, you know, especially when they get the first hit and, you know, you're already down 40 HP. I mean, the odds were not in my favor, especially just looking at all these zeros. So I just decided to put on Lash and just start spam clicking his head and, you know, maybe hope for the best. And luckily for me, that actually worked. So yeah, the 25s did come and the wind pretty much followed. So yeah, he said nice and I was freaking out. We ended up walking away with 2 twisted bows as well as an Elysian, as well as every other expensive item in the game. That includes all the third age sets and multiple of pretty much everything else. So this was my pretty much peak, I would say. My peak was about 4.2 bill. I did not reach 5 bill. I did not reach 10 bill. I almost reached it, I'd say, but not quite. As you can see in the bank there, we briefly did check it out. But I did pretty much have every single thing that I could ever want in this game, and other than Raids 2 being introduced and new items entering the game, I don't think that there was anything that I could have wanted at that point. And that unfortunately did lead to my downfall. We did go back to the duel arena even though we had 4 bill, and I did end up losing just about every single bit of it. As it currently stands today, my bank is about 250 mil. And this was all just kind of a week that really didn't feel real at times, but it was very real, and luckily I have the video proof to support it, which is what this video was today. I wanted to show you guys my week of staking, so whether it was a win or whether it was a loss, I did enjoy every single stake I did this week. It was truly incredible, and having that much money was just one-of-a-kind feeling. Like, I really didn't think I was ever going to get to that point, and, you know, it really does feel surreal, even though it's just a game. I mean, having that much GP after so many years of just so many hours and hours of grinding just to make this amount of money in less than a week was truly just unreal. So I'm glad that you guys were able to watch the video, and I'm glad that I was able to get most of this on video for you all. And I think that this brings me to my next point, which is I'm going back to my roots now. I had a lot of fun staking, but clearly this isn't really for me. And obviously playing this account for such a long time, I mean, everyone knows this account in game. You know, I'm the 30-hour guy, the guy who kills revs all the time. And I think that it's time to really move on from that very soon, but not yet. And what I mean by this is I believe Iron Man content is going to start full-time at the start of next month or the month following that. And in the meantime, I'm going to be uploading a few different 30-hour videos of different PVM bosses and activities on this game. And after those videos and those goals are complete on Mr. No Sleep, I will be officially switching to Iron Man and going for new Iron Man 30-hour related videos as well as Road to Max. So I'm really optimistic for the future, guys. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed as much as I enjoyed making it. And until next time, Mr. No Sleep out.